Hi, it's Paula from Pola Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, another magic numbers pattern, and I will be working with a little bit bigger pieces today. So after a couple of tutorials with children's type of fabric, I had some leftovers, so I've mixed them up with a little bit more colorful pieces of fabric I had in my cupboard, and I cut them all to 5 by 10 inches. So if you have maybe layer cakes laying around, that will be a good project to use them up. And obviously you can cut them also from the bigger pieces, whether it's fat quarter or yardage, it will work. As you can see, I've been mixing different type of fabrics here, really not specific pattern, everything goes, so that saves you kind of worry about what match with what. Really just nice colorful scrappy type of quilt. And like I said, it's a magic number. We are going to be trimming blocks later to a little bit smaller. They are bigger to start from because, as you also maybe you have noticed from the last few tutorials, I'm really into the curves and waves. I really like how they come up with the on the fabric with the designs, so that we will be linking today waves with magic numbers and see what's come up. So from 2 pieces of fabric you're gonna have 1.5 block. I know it's a little bit strange kind of calculation, but that's what we're gonna have. And for one bigger block I will be making, I need 18 blocks. So I've paired up my fabric, like I said, and when you're cutting your fabric, for the best results you want to have 2 pieces from the same fabric minimum. So if you have a bigger scraps and you can cut them to 5 by 10, just try to have 2 pieces from the same fabric. Obviously I've got multiple of the same fabrics as well. As far as they're coming in pairs, you're good to go. You can use one fabric as well. It's just there's one block there or one part of the process where you will not be able to have the same result, but by all means the quilt is still gonna be awesome. So what you want to do, pair up and stack as many fabrics as you feeling comfortable cutting through. So I'm going with 4 layers at a time, and I've got those 2 stacks which are the same fabric. So let me just move those out of the way and let's work with 1 stack at a time. So what I want to do is layer them up so I can cut through them at the same time to prepare for curve piecing. So I will take first fabric, and just to make sure you have both of the stacks layered the same way, because we want to keep the same order of the fabrics. So I will put first fabric and just use your mat to do that, like I'm doing now. So I'm just aligning my piece against any line on the board, and then I'm placing the second fabric, kind of overlapping it by 3/4 of an inch. My mat is in centimeters, so it's 2 centimeters, but in inches is 3/4 of an inch. Now it's not the precision working here, so if you overlap little more or less, it's fine as well. Piece number 3, I'm aligning it with the first part I've put there. Piece number 4, I'm going to be aligning it again with the second one. So kind of I'm stacking them with a little bit of movement there. Now I take my ruler, which I've got my titanium blade in. I'm still testing that blade. It's really working well. 3 months on, still cutting like through the butter. So I think in the next tutorial I will tell you a little bit more about it, and I will provide you with the links where you can buy those. So what I want to do is start somewhere in the middle of that stack. You want kind of to make your curve piecing the easiest possible. You want to start a little bit straight, do your wave, not too much. We're working with easy curves, easy waves. And then at the top you also want to finish a little bit straightish. It's just going to make a little bit easier when you're working with the curves on your machine. And also you want to make sure that whichever side you will start sewing from, so I will be starting sewing from the top, I want to align those edges at the top. It's just going to make it easier to put it back together as a layers. If the bottom is kind of ragged, not even, that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm at the top even here. So let's make the first cut. I'm just going in a little bit straight, then I will curve, and then I will curve back up here. So those are the pieces now cut in, and I will separate them now. So left side is bigger, go on one stack. The second piece in the same stack is smaller, I will separate it. The third piece again will be bigger, and the fourth piece will be smaller. Now I will pair it up here. The smaller piece will go with the smaller side and the bigger piece will go with the bigger side. And I will do exactly the same thing second time with my second stack. So I'm starting on the line, and then I will overlap it by that 3/4 of an inch and make sure my top is aligned. A third piece, and I'm pairing the same fabrics with the same fabrics. Again, go ahead, experiment, you can mix them up as well. They are all cut the same way, so you can do that, but for my pattern I'm just aligning the same two fabrics together. And again, in the middle I'm starting a little bit straight, then I will curve a little bit, and then I'm going straight up. The curve is more or less the same, but obviously it's not going to be exact, and that's fine as well. So again, big, small, big, small, small, big, small, and a big. Now I can put those stacks on each other and take it to the sewing machine and start sewing them together. This is definitely the part of the process you want to chain piece. So the more, the more stacks you will prep this way, just stack them one on another and you are good to go, or just work with certain amount at the time. I'm taking my first two pieces to chain piece, and there's already a little bit of curve here. I didn't come up very straight, but what I want to do, the easiest way I found for me is I'm aligning my top fabric and I'm aligning the corner here. I'm not worried about yet what is happening at the bottom there. I literally just want to align that my fabric finishes here in the corner in the same place, and my top is aligned as well. That's why I said it's important to align it at the top where you're going to start sewing from. And I'm taking 2 stitches, 1, 2. That will hold now that fabric in place, so I can lift my foot and now start aligning actually edges here on the right side to start sewing with the 1/4 inch. And it is good to actually narrow down a little bit your stitch length here, because you will be able to work with your curves a little bit easier. And you only worry what is between your needle and kind of end of your foot. Don't worry about what's happening here. Work with small section at a time. If you need to lift the foot of the machine to kind of align the fabric, again, just for that kind of 1/2 inch distance, do that. And one bit at a time, you will be able to sew all that curve to the very end. And you just need to work through all your stacks that way, and then we will take it to the ironing board and make it nice and straight before we trim it to a final dimension. There's going to be extra step with certain parts of the block, so let me quickly zip through those cut stacks already, and I will get you to the next step. I've got my pieces from the ironing board, so let's have a look what we've got here. So first we've got our wider pieces, and we will trim them to 4.5 by 8.5 inches. They are at the moment, let me just take a ruler, they are about 5 inches at the moment, so you have a little bit of kind of play which fabric you want to keep more on it, and which kind of fabric keep less, because you can kind of move that ruler when you're cutting the way you like it, really. At the moment it's kind of even half on those pieces, so your decision which way you want to go with those ones. And you can, you know, since we've got two of the same, you can have one where you leave this whole bit and you cut the rest from here, and then here you can do other way around, leave wider bit of that fabric and trim it on that side. So that's easy, 8.5 by 4.5. Now we also have got those narrower pieces, and that's where the fun comes. So measure them first, see how wide they are. Mine are about 3.5 inches, and what you want to do is actually have them 3 inches more or less. There's no precision here again. And since after sewing those waves here, they kind of are not even nice straight on the side anyway, then I will trim them. Now, how you want to trim them is, you want to sew them back so the middle fabric is the same. You choose which one. It can be either this way or it can be this way. Choose whichever fabric you like the best. So you stack them one or another, and then you will trim them about 1/2 inch here to get them to more or less 3 inch. Because what we want to do after we trim and sew them here in the middle, we open them up, and again we will then trim them to 4.5 by 8.5 inches. If I have just trimmed them here straight and sewed them together, what would have happened is, obviously I can cut 4.5 by 8.5 piece here, but I will lose the curves here because it's too wide here. So we need to make sure we narrow down that middle section first. And I will just stack all of them in one go. Here I will go with my daisy fabric, stack one on top of each other, take a straight ruler, and like I said, around 1/2 inch you want to trim it off. Now I will just sew those two pieces together, open them up, iron again, and then I will have a double wave block. So one of the blocks are going to be single wave in the middle, and some of them are going to be double wave. So kind of a little bit of extra bonus block here. So let me just quickly show you a quick selection of the blocks I've prepared earlier. So I've got all of those with just 2 pieces of the fabrics, and as you can see, the fabrics I'm kind of linking together. They do not necessarily have anything in common, but somehow they look pretty nice together. Again, I was kind of playing with the type of the waves here, so each stack was really cut slightly different, but if you're working with 2 stacks of the same fabrics, just try to cut them the same way. So if you want to experiment with the direction of the curves, work with 1 stack at a time to change it. But if you have stack of the same fabric, try to cut it more or less the same way, and that's because you will then receive that kind of double curve here effect. If you cut one of the stacks one way and other stacks other way, you will have a little bit different result, which is kind of here like a bottleneck here result. So to be fair, it's your choice again how you want to go about it. Experiment. That's what I would suggest. So I will pop them now on the design board to see what we can kind of put them as to make at least few layouts out of just those blocks. But there is one specific layout I was aiming for with the numbers I gave you, and let's have a look at that one as well. And I will put in the description below a few links to my previous tutorials where I was doing wavy blocks, just to give you a little bit more information about it. And now, just before I show you the final blocks and how I will lay them out, let's just quickly go through the places where you can find me. You can find me on my own website page where you can find all the patterns I'm mentioning here. You can also find some ready-made items. If you are in UK, you can purchase from me. The other place you can find me is my Facebook group page or my Pola Photo Facebook page. Group page is for those who would like to share their work from my tutorials. So you can find me on Instagram. I've got my page there, which is called Pola Quilting, and I've got my own hashtag if you like to tag me, which is Pola Quilting with friends. Be sure to check the description below because all the links to those mentioned places are there. Okay, so let's have a look at the options we've got with those blocks. So just larger wavy blocks put together with matched sides in the same fabric, so it makes illusion that you have all the seams done with the wavy cutting. This one again, single wave blocks mixed up, that looks very colorful. By single I mean it's just the one wavy seam in the block. Here somewhat fence rail layout with 2 blocks in each section. It is a magic number pattern, so it will definitely fit. As here same layout, but one side is now matching with the next fabric together. Here single and double wave blocks put together, plus each side of the blocks are matching the next one. This one is mixed layout with a vertical and horizontal setup. Again, because it's matching numbers, they will work perfectly fine together in those sections of 3 pieces together. Before I show you layout, I will stitch my blocks together. Have a look at this one. It was made from 2 narrow ones stitched together, and it came out absolutely perfect. So it must be some sort of quilting magic somewhere there. So here we go, the layout you should know now as a potato chip, but much bigger. So you will need 18 individual blocks for this layout, which will give you one large 24 by 24 block when it's kind of stitching together. So finished 24 by 24, unfinished 24.5 square. I made 4 of those big ones for a nice small baby quilt. And you can obviously make as many as you need for whatever size of the project you require. This block will look great in any type of fabrics, mix and match, not necessarily the kids one. Obviously whatever you've got in your stash will work great for that. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and if you haven't tried waves yet, maybe you will give it a go now. As mentioned before, I've pasted in the description below few links to other wavy projects I've done so far, so you can go and have a look at those as well to learn more about the waves. Thank you for joining, thank you for watching, and see you next time.